Namo Amida Butsu. Question. How can I be sure that I say Nembutsu in the right way? You often use terms like the genuine, true Nembutsu. What is that exactly, and how does it differ from a Nembutsu said in the wrong way? Answer. The name of Amida Buddha is not your property, and it does not work because of you. It works because of Amida. Your saying of the name is effective only because Amida put all his power and infinite merits in his name. If you entrust yourself to Amida Buddha's salvational power, then you are saying the name in accordance with its true nature. But if you are saying the name and think that its efficacy depends on something within yourself, like how often you say it, or how focused you are when you say it, or on the presence of so-and-so virtue and merit within you, then you cannot benefit from all the blessings of the name. This is why those who say the name in self-power, that is, followers of the 20th vow, can go only to the borderland of the Pure Land. They may usually say, but we rely on Amida's name, not on ourselves. However, the reality is that deep in their minds, what they actually do is we rely on our capacity to recite as many times as possible. So they actually think the more we recite, the better chances we have to be born in the Pure Land. Well, this is exactly what hinders them to entrust completely to the power of Amida Buddha and be born in the true fulfilled land of the Pure Land, the center of the Pure Land, and immediately attain Buddhahood there. Now please, do not imagine that people who say the name while truly relying on Amida's power to save cannot say it many times. On the contrary, they might say it many times, just like practitioners of self-power and Nembutsu. The only difference is that they are not obsessed with numbers. They're not obsessed with having the proper state of mind when saying the name. 2. They do not have the delusion that they can add or contribute something from themselves to Amida's salvation. They realize all this while they continue to say the name. They do not abandon the name, but on the contrary, they enjoy it with the relaxation given by the fact that they are already saved. They do not need to assure their own salvation in each moment of their life by saying the name continuously. Something like, I must be sure that I say the name all the time, so that if I die now, I can go to the Pure Land. They do not need to prove to Amida that they are worthy of his salvation because they say his name all the time. Truly, our salvation is in Amida's hands, not ours. It is in Amida's power, in Amida's name, and not in our own capacity to recite it often or seldom, or in the various things we might think we should develop inside our delusional hearts and minds. So, dear friend, enjoy the name whenever you like and whenever you can. The sure sign that you're really enjoying the name is when you say it without worry of your salvation. That is, after you entrusted yourself to Amida Buddha. This true saying of the name is the Nembutsu of faith, the Nembutsu of the Primal Vow. Please remember that in the Primal Vow of Amida Buddha, the saying of the name, that is, say my name perhaps even 10 times, is not mentioned alone, but together with faith, that is, sincerely entrust to me, say my name perhaps even 10 times. This is extremely important, and it shows what Amida wants from us, that is, to say his name while completely entrusting ourselves to him and his power to save. We cannot run contrary to the primal vow and emphasize only the name while neglecting faith. In truth, the Nembutsu saying of the name cannot be separated from faith, and faith cannot be separated from the Nembutsu. Those who are not yet established in faith might say the name too, and it is important that even people without faith to say the name. But those who have faith will surely say the Nembutsu, and their saying will truly be in accord with Amida's instruction from his primal vow. That is, entrust to me, desire to be born in my land, and say my name perhaps even 10 times. To say the name while entrusting ourselves completely to Amida is the genuine Nembutsu, the Nembutsu Amida wants us to say. Question. Recently, a friend of mine has started saying things like, I and Amida are one and the same. This person is an avid reader of Ippen and has come to share many of the Zen Pure Land views that Ippen taught concerning interconnection of all things. Personally, I cannot agree with this line of thought, as I see it as presumptuous, arrogant, and quite possibly slanderous. Please give me your take on this line of thinking, and tell me if you think it goes against the teachings of our Pure Land masters. That person is wrong and not in agreement with the teaching of our lineage. As long as we are unenlightened, we and Amida are different and not the same. If we were the same with Amida, why don't we manifest as Amida now? Why don't we dwell in the ultimate Dharmakaya, where there are no blind passions and no ignorance? Why don't we have transcendental manifestations like Sambhogakaya body in a pure land? As long as we are unenlightened, there will always be a dualism between Amida Buddha, the one who saves, and the one to be saved, that is us, who entrust to Amida Buddha. When we attain perfect enlightenment in the Pure Land after death, we will have access to the same Dharmakaya, that is, ultimate Buddha nature, as Amida and all Buddhas. Then, and only then, we will be able to say that we and Amida are the same. But if we say those words while we are unenlightened, we are fooling ourselves and we lie. All beings and the Buddhas have the same Buddha nature, but because we do not see this Buddha nature until birth in the Pure Land, to say now that we are one and the same with Amida or any Buddha is arrogance. I repeat this because it is very important. Only when we ourselves attain Buddhahood in the Pure Land will we have access to the ultimate reality beyond forms, that is Dharmakaya, which is common to all Buddhas. We will dwell forever in transcendent form, Sambhogakaya, in Amida's Pure Land. And at the same time we will go in all the places of the universe in various bodies of accommodation or transformation, Nimanakayas, to save all beings. This is the true Jodo Shinshu teaching. Here and now, we can only be in a communion or unity with Amida Buddha like a child is in unity or communion with his parent. But certainly, as long as the child is still a child, that is unenlightened, not a Buddha yet, he cannot be the same with his parent, that is the Buddha. Interconnection of all things is a general Buddhist concept, but has nothing to do with a false idea that we are the same with Amida Buddha, while we still dwell in samsara and have samsaric minds. Amida Buddha is of course interconnected with all sentient beings, but the level of his attainment is not the same with ours. If we, unenlightened beings, were the same with Amida and all Buddhas, then the aspiration to attain Buddhahood for us all and all beings, or the wish to be born in Amida's Pure Land, would be futile. Such theories make unenlightened beings forget the importance of aspiration to be born in the Pure Land, which is part of the requirements of the Primal Vow. That is, entrust yourself to me, say my name, and wish to be born in my Pure Land. If we think we are already the same with Amida now, then we will not wish to be born in his land. Why wanting to go there to the Pure Land if we are already the same with Amida now? Such is the inverted thinking of one who supports this kind of idea. Not having the wish to be born in Amida's land, we cannot entrust to him too, because the goal of faith or Shinran is to go to the Pure Land. Not having this faith with birth in the Pure Land as the goal, our Nembutsu is not the genuine Nembutsu of the Primal Vow too. Aiken Kobai Sensei told me the following about the difference between Ippen and Shinran. Quote, Ippen thinks that people have been saved 10 kalpas before. Even without Shinran, if people utter Nembutsu, then they will get salvation and become Buddhas in the present. Shinran Shonin thinks that Shinran is necessary. When people get Shinran, it is definite to be born in the Pure Land, entering into the rightly established group in the present. Also, we do not become Buddhas in this world. We are born in the Pure Land after death, and then we become Buddhas the same as Amida. End quote. I have nothing against people following other Pure Land paths, but if we are truly Jodo Shinshu followers, we should not mix what we've learnt from Shinran and Rennyo with the teachings of Ippen. Ippen Shonin was not recognized by Rennyo as a Jodo Shinshu teacher, and so he's not in the same spiritual lineage with Shinran. More than this, Master Rennyo tried his best and was successful in converting many followers of the school Jishu, which was founded on the teachings of Ippen. As far as I know, when Rennyo wrote against the heresy related with the idea that beings were saved when Amida attained Buddhahood 10 kalpas ago, he did it in order to help people who came from the same school founded on the teachings of Ippen. Please read the next question and answer from this chapter. Question. Amida attained Buddhahood for all of us when he became enlightened. Shinjin is simply the realization of that fact with total conviction, which in turn compels us to recite in thanksgiving Namo Amida Butsu. I wonder if it contradicts Jodo Shinshu. Answer. Shinjin or faith is not only the realization of the fact that Amida attained Buddhahood. Of course, Amida did obtain a Buddhahood in order to save us all, but this is not enough. All Buddhas attain Buddhahood and wish to save us, but this does not mean that sentient beings are saved just because Buddhas are enlightened. We must follow the method prescribed by each Buddha if we want to attain enlightenment ourselves. So Amida Buddha made his primal vow in which he said we should entrust to him, say his name in faith, and wish to go to his Pure Land. One may think all day long that Amida attained Buddha, but if one does not wish to go to his Pure Land, nor actually entrust to Amida Buddha in order to be taken there, then one has no faith, and he will not go to that land when he dies. Just to give you an example from daily life, let us say that you come to my house with your car and ask me to join you in a trip which will take me to your wonderful holiday villa on a beach paradise. It is not enough that you show me your car and talk about the wonderful house you have. I also need to enter your car and accept to be taken there by you. In our case, entering the car and letting myself be taken by you to the wonderful destination, that is Pure Land, is faith or Shinjin. It also means Namo Amida Butsu, something like, thank you, I gratefully accept. This is how things work with Amida Buddha's salvation too. Master Rennyo counteracted a somewhat similar wrong view with the one you expressed above. In letter 13th, fascicle 1, he referred to this wrong view as follows, quote, recently, some of the Nembutsu people in this region have been using strange terms, insisting that they express the attainment of faith. Furthermore, they hold to this as if they knew all about our tradition's faith. In their words, faith is not forgetting the benevolence of Amida, who settled our birth in the Pure Land from the time of his perfect enlightenment 10 kalpas ago. This is a serious error, for even if they know all about Amida Tathagata's perfect enlightenment, this is useless without knowing the significance of other power faith by which we are to attain birth. Therefore, from now on, they should first of all know the true and real faith of our tradition very thoroughly. What then do we mean by faith? First of all, when we set aside all sundry practices and steadfastly rely on Amida Tathagata and giving no thought to any of the Kami or to other Buddhas, take refuge with singleness of heart exclusively in Amida. The Tathagata embraces us with his light and never abandons us. This is precisely how the one-thought moment of faith is decisively settled. After we've understood this, we must bear in mind that the Nembutsu expresses our gratitude to Amida Tathagata for his benevolence in granting us other power faith. With this, we are to be declared Nembutsu practitioners in whom faith is decisively settled. End quote. The expression, faith is not forgetting the benevolence of Amida, who settled our birth in the Pure Land from the time of his perfect enlightenment 10 kalpas ago, sounds a little similar with what you said. Amida attained Buddha for all of us when he became enlightened. Shinjin is simply the realization of that fact. But I hope that now everything is clear. Faith is to steadfastly rely and to take refuge, as Rennyo said above, take refuge with singleness of heart, and not just realizing that Amida attained Buddhahood for us. If one does not take refuge in Amida Buddha, then everything is in vain. Amida did not just stop at attaining Buddhahood, but he manifested a Pure Land, that is Sukhavati, and he made a vow in which he clearly told us what to do if we want to reach that land after death. Entrust ourselves to him, say his name. Saying and entrusting is the same, as true saying of the name is an expression of faith, and wish to go there. Honen, Shinran, and Rennyo always insisted that we must be in accord with the Primal Vow, and in the Primal Vow it is not said, beings will be born in my land by knowing that I attained Buddhahood for their sake. Without relying steadfastly and taking refuge with singleness of heart exclusively in Amida, as Rennyo said in the quote above, the fact that he is a Buddha is just a knowledge with no effect for our salvation. Question. Why did Shinran say that we should not wait for Amida's coming at the moment of death? Will Amida not come for people of Shinjin or faith? Answer. The person who has faith or Shinjin in the Primal Vow does not wait for the final moment of death to have a good state of mind in which to say Nembutsu and be welcomed by Amida Buddha, but receives faith during his present life and immediately becomes assured of birth in the Pure Land at the moment of death, when he is naturally welcomed by Amida Buddha and attains Buddhahood. The Nembutsu one says during one's whole life is thus the expression of faith and gratitude, and not the self-power Nembutsu. When Shinran said that we should not wait for Amida's coming at the moment of death, he did not mean that we are not actually received by Amida in his Pure Land when we die, or that he might not send one of his manifestations to us in our final hours before death. Of course, Amida can do that if he wants. What Shinran meant is that we should not think that the moment of death is more important than our daily lives, and we should not attach a false significance to it, fearing that if we do not have a good state of mind or concentration in those final moments, then we will not go to the Pure Land. No matter we are or we are not in a concentrated or good state of mind when we die, no matter if we say the Nembutsu or die without saying it because of unforeseen circumstances, we will be welcomed by Amida Buddha in his Pure Land if we have already entrusted ourselves to him and said his name in faith during life. Quote, I, for my own part, attach no significance to the condition, good or bad, of persons in their final moments. People in whom Shinjin or faith is determined do not doubt, and so abide among the truly settled. For this reason their end also, even for those ignorant and foolish and lacking in wisdom, is a happy one. End quote. Thus, our birth in the Pure Land does not depend on our saying the Nembutsu often or seldom, or if we say it in the special moment of death, but on the faith we have in the power of Amida Buddha, which is what makes an Nembutsu effective and our birth there attainable. As Honen said, quote, Nembutsu relying on other power, that is Amida Buddha, makes birth in the Pure Land possible, but Nembutsu relying on self-power will never result in birth in the Pure Land. End quote. A person of true faith says the Nembutsu without attaching a special significance to time, place, or circumstance. Rennyo Shonin also said, quote, Our daily Nembutsu and Nembutsu at the time of death are no different at all. When we are visited by death, our daily Nembutsu becomes Nembutsu at death. If our life is prolonged, Nembutsu at death becomes Nembutsu of daily life. End quote. Namo Amida Butsu.